I recently did a 3-day pilgrimage to Nevada, seeing all of the old UFO sites, Area 51 and Rachel, Nevada. But I had to come out to Pahrump, where Art Bell made his retirement. And he was broadcasting coast to coast AM from here. And I think it's because of this that they filmed the landing scene from the movie Mars Attacks. It was sort of a sideways nod at the fact that Art Bell was here and broadcasting his conspiracy theories. But he's one of the most influential radio broadcasters who have ever hit the airwaves, and I'll tell a little bit more about him.
Don't run. We are your friends.
Essentially, Art Bell began his career in the military, and he got an extra-class amateur radio license by the age of 13 years old and immediately took to liking his voice on the radio. And unlike other conspiracy theorists that would come along later and make millions of dollars off the subject, he was the real deal. In Vietnam, he was a radio broadcaster, and he set up a pirate radio station on his own base, playing anti-Vietnam War music and really questioning authority. And he never went to the point of being aggressive or hostile towards authority, but he always kept an open mind. And Art Bell went on to create and be the head of Coast to Coast AM, one of the most popular radio stations in the world. And for a time, I believe he had 22 million listeners a night all across the country, a lot of them truckers. And he learned how to, I've heard it said, harness the power of the truckers who see things out when they're driving 16, 17-hour days, who see the strange life. And he started all of this because he didn't make money off of it like a lot of other people do. He started all of this literally from his own home, and it became a compound. And he set up these huge radio masts and antennas and barbed wire over and around his home for KNYE, called it the Kingdom of Nye. And just as a little, it's the call sign radio joke. But he grew up and sort of was active in retirement around this community and in growing his radio broadcasts. And he became very famous for talking about every sort of subject, and he never kind of belittled his guests. People would call in and say, I saw a goblin behind my house, and he'd be like, oh, well, tell me more about the goblin. Like, what is the goblin? What do you think it eats? And he talks about Bigfoot. He talked about UFOs, aliens, other dimensions, shadow people, flying humanoids. This guy was all over the place, and he even holds the world record, I believe, for over 100 hours of hearing, just talking around the clock on the radio for a live broadcast. And he truly loved what he did, and smoking 3 packs a day, he was able to just continue with his gravelly, deep, perfect for radio voice, although it wasn't really that healthy for him in the long run. And the town of Pahrump is within driving distance of Las Vegas, and an easy weekend trip over to Rachel, Nevada, into Area 51. And on the way there, you also pass by Creech Air Force Base, which is a sort of mecca for the top secret aspect of the military. Sadly, though, all good things must come to an end, and in 2018, after coming and going for quite a while with Coast to Coast AM over personal issues and their choice of hosts, he finally passed away. And he's buried here in Grandview Cemetery in Nye County, or the Kingdom of Nye, as he would have called it. And he's buried in the Garden of Grace alongside his fourth and final wife, someone who he stuck it out until the end for. And it feels interesting coming here because I've heard even my fellow mechanics that I've worked with say that even when it gets very late and they work overnight shifts, they would have turned on Coast to Coast AM and listened to him talk. And it meant a lot to a lot of people, especially the working person and the trucker and the police officer who had to stay up late at night and had a radio to accompany them, and they would listen to Art Bell's voice. And he was just a very interesting, inquisitive person who was on the radio for decades. And he was somebody who they called him the friend in the night. And you see here a police officer's badge, and I'll play at the end of the video a short clip of a live recording of somebody who claimed to work at Area 51, and I'll overlay it with pictures of the town of Rachel, Nevada, near Area 51.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. Oh man, I don't know where to start. they're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really, really soon.
So you can't spend a lot of time on the phone. So give us something quick.
Okay. Okay. What we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military. I'm sorry, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now, Art.
But they're not doing anything.
They are not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
Discharge.
I started getting...